Strategy is often described as a game of chess, but Sun Tzu prefers to think of it as a game of distributed balance. Welcome to this lesson on Create Disorder and Strike. This is the sixth deception, and it is based on a single fundamental truth. An army in a static, defensive position is a wall. An army in motion is a target. Sun Tzu's goal here is to transform the enemy from an ordered force into a disordered mob. Why? Because movement creates friction, and friction creates gaps. When a unit moves in a hurry, its communication lags, its flanks are exposed, and its soldiers become focused on the move rather than the threat. Whether you create this disorder by offering bait or through a sudden, shocking action, the result is the same. The wall becomes a sieve. In the Russia-Ukraine war, disorder is created by information overload and speed. Consider the 2022 Kharkiv counteroffensive, a masterclass in this principle. Ukraine didn't just attack, they attacked with such unexpected speed and in so many directions at once that the Russian command structure suffered from a system failure. Units didn't know if they were being bypassed or surrounded. Orderly defenses turned into disordered retreats. Because the Russian forces were in motion and confused, they couldn't coordinate artillery or air support. Ukraine struck the gaps created by that very movement. In 2026, we see disorder created in the digital realm. By using high-powered GPS spoofing and signal jamming, a commander can make an enemy's unit's navigation system fail. Imagine a Russian tank column suddenly realizing their maps are wrong and their radios are hissing static. They stop, they turn around, they bunch up, they move into disorder. The gaps aren't just physical spaces between tanks. They are the gaps in the enemy's ability to see and think. That is when the strike comes. Sun Tzu's war tip is the golden rule of this lesson. Movement means disorder. If the enemy stays put, they are strong. If you can make them move by threatening a supply line, feigning an attack, or spreading a rumor of a breakthrough, you have introduced the element of chaos. A true commander doesn't strike the wall. They wait for the wall to start moving, and then they strike the cracks that appear. The sixth deception tells us that victory isn't always about being better than the enemy. It's about being steadier. If you can stay ordered while forcing your opponent into disorder, the size of your army no longer matters. Chaos is an opportunity. If you can't find a gap in your opponent's defense, create one by making them move. We've just explored the sixth deception, creating disorder and striking. As we wrap up this lesson, the takeaway is clear. The most dangerous moment for any army isn't when they are fighting, it's when they are shifting. To close, let's look at how the chaos factor has redefined victory in the 2026 landscape of the Russia-Ukraine war. Sun Tzu understood that order is a fragile state. In modern warfare, breaking that order is the shortcut to a decisive win. In 2026, we see disorder used as a scalpel. Instead of attacking an entire battalion, one side might use precision strikes to take out only the command and control vehicles. By decapitating the leadership, the remaining soldiers are left without orders. They begin to move tentatively. They cluster together or they retreat without coordination. They have moved from order to disorder. The gaps that Sun Tzu speaks of appear instantly as the soldiers lose their station and position. Think of the strikes on Crimean bridges or major rail hubs. These aren't just logistical strikes, They are disorder generators. By cutting off a primary route, you force the enemy to reroute thousands of tons of gear through secondary congested dirt roads. This forced movement creates a massive traffic jam of targets. The enemy is in disorder because they are trapped in a bottleneck of their own making. This is where the strike hits the hardest. The war tip remains the most vital piece of advice for any strategist. Movement means gaps. As we've seen in the fluid frontline of 2026, the side that remains static for too long gets found by a drone, but the side that moves clumsily gets destroyed in the transition. The goal of the great commander is to be the anchor in the storm, maintaining their own discipline while using every tool at their disposal to make the enemy's world feel like it's falling apart. As you look at your own professional battles, remember, if you can't find a way through your opponent's strength, find a way to make them agitated. Make them move. When they start to scramble to adjust to a new situation, they will leave the very door open that you've been trying to unlock.